Hi, I'm Nikki Hardy, your favourite fresh air junkie, and welcome to the Wildly Known Life podcast, where we connect science, faith, and wonder to help all us spiritually underwhelmed grown-up humans of the world say yes to that sacred tug within. If you feel closer to God in nature and you're looking for biblically sound, nature-based spiritual practices that move beyond prayer walks around the block and thanking God for stunning sunsets, you are in the right place, because we believe that soul tug you can feel is God's invitation to reconnect with Him, yourself, and who you're created to be. Each week, we weave story, scripture, and science into prayers and practices you can carry into the woods, your morning routine, or a regular Tuesday afternoon. My goal is for you to walk away feeling energized, equipped, and ready to say yes to that sacred tug, so you can find more of what God has for you and you've been looking for all along. More peace and calm, more clarity and purpose, and a deeper, rooted, honest connection with God that's growing and truly alive. Together we'll listen to God, to our souls, and what His sacred creation has to say as we allow ourselves to live wildly known. Okay, let's dive in. You're tired, it's late, it's past your bedtime, and you're beginning to show off. If I had a day's paid time off for every time that was said to me as a kid, I would be traveling the world on full pay for years. Younger Nikki was loud and bouncy and a little too in your face. And as the youngest of three, I was always trying to be heard above the noise. The years have quietened and calmed me a fraction, but to be honest, not that much. I'm still an extrovert who's never met the silence she can't fill, and I'm calmest when my body is in motion. Which is why I have a love-hate relationship with one of the most well-loved and treasured verses in the Bible, Psalm 46:10. Be still and know that I am God. For the most part, it feels like a relief, like sinking under the bubbles of a warm bath after a day digging in the garden, or the lightness of getting to camp and finally taking off your heavy pack after a day's strenuous hiking. All I have to do is be still. That's it? You're serious, God? I don't need to do anything specific, be anything special, know the rules, behave myself, or have all my ducks in a row, because I'm pretty sure they haven't been in a row since 1996. I can just relax, exhale, be still, and know you're God. Wow, that's amazing. But stillness also terrifies me. Stilling my mind, let alone my body, feels impossible. I'm a mover, a fidgeter, a thinker, an idea factory, and all too often a ruminator. Stillness, internal or external, isn't really in my DNA. More than that, though, my hesitancy to enter stillness is fueled by the fear of what I might find when I get there. Isn't that where the demons lie? The truths I'd rather ignore, the pain I've successfully buried and ignored for years, the real me. Those things are in the stillness, and those things feel scary. Rationally, I know it will be okay with God. God will be there with me in the stillness, and any wounds I uncover, He'll tend to with compassion. His voice will whisper His love for me and invite me into healing and more of who He's created me to be. If you've listened to last week's episode, you'll remember the four voices we encounter in the stillness, of which only one, the quietest, is God's. And you'll have started the work of recognizing them and hushing them in your own life. So today, I want to take us one step further into a moment of stillness. But before we go there, let's bust a few myths about stillness to make it just a bit less scary. The first myth about stillness is that stillness will make all the noise stop. The reality is the internal noise often gets louder at first, and that's totally normal. If we go into stillness knowing that the internal racket will only increase just for a bit, it won't catch us by surprise. We shouldn't expect internal silence the moment we sit still and get quiet. The second myth is that hearing God in the stillness is passive. In reality, stillness requires intention, time set aside, a mindset shift, and intentionally asking God to meet us in it before we rest there. But also, the third myth is that hearing God in the stillness is active. I know, I said hearing God in the stillness is active, and now I'm saying it's passive. Hear me out. Because the reality is, we can't conjure up God's voice. We can't force it and make him speak. God's voice, as I often say, bubbles up. It comes as a nudge, a whisper, a sense, a feeling. So it's both passive and active. The next myth is that stillness is a solo sport. We think of stillness and solitude together, and they do fuel one another, but they don't always have to go together. I know I can be in solitude and far from still, and still with others. The reality is, stillness is an inner state more than an outer reality. Okay, one more myth. Stillness is either in your makeup or it's not. I believed this for the longest time, and yes, some of us do find it harder than others. Just like some of us find walking into a room full of strangers easier than others, while those people find it excruciating. The reality is, stillness can be learned. It is easier for some people, but if we find it difficult, it's something that we can learn. It's called a spiritual practice for a reason, because that's what we need to do, practice it. Starting small with maybe just a few minutes at a time, we can get better. Eventually, if we reach the stage the desert mothers and fathers did with stillness, we'll be able to retreat into our own portable stillness kind of spiritual cell and be with God, even in the noisiest and busiest moments. Now, I'd love to hear what you've learned about stillness and hearing God's voice and how you've practiced it, or maybe you haven't, because like me, you're a little bit scared of it. Because living the wildly known life is a team sport, and other people's insights are often the best teachers. So let's share that love. And you can do that either by tagging me on an Instagram post, or better yet, coming over and joining us at the Wildly Known Life community on Substack. And the link, as always, will be in the show notes for that. Let us know your thoughts and your learnings. But for now, let's end as we always do, with a short prayer or practice we can take into our day. And we start with the short prayer that you can make your own. And so, as we take time to be with God now, let's rest a moment in stillness, returning our wandering minds to his presence and responding with openness. Here's a simple stillness practice. As we sit in stillness for a moment, notice what comes to mind. Maybe it's some of the noisy voices, the world, the enemy, your wounded self. And I want to invite you not to react, but to let them have their say, and then let them move on and fade away, or give them to Jesus one by one. As you continue in stillness, wait for what bubbles up. Maybe a thought, a word, a scripture, a picture of anything whispering to you that sounds like love. Can you articulate what it's saying? Maybe write a sentence that seems like it may be from God. If that feels uncomfortable, you can use John Wimber's words. It's probably me, but it could be God. And finally, finish by taking a moment to pray what you think you heard back to God, offering it to him to shape, to mold, to confirm, or even fall away as he sees fit. Thanks for spending time with me on the Wildly Known Life podcast. Before you go, remember, sometimes the best thing we can do for ourselves is to step outside, take a deep breath, drop our shoulders, and ask what our wildly wonderful God has to say. That's where coming alive in our life and faith begins, and living wildly known follows. If that hits home, make sure you subscribe to the podcast, leave a quick review, and share this episode with a friend who's tired of feeling spiritually underwhelmed and is ready for more. And don't forget, we always want to see you inside the Wildly Known Life community over on Substack. It's a vibrant, down-to-earth gathering where we have honest talk, practical tools, and deep connection, because God didn't design us to do this wildly known life alone. The link for that is down in the show notes. See you next time, my friend, and remember, live wildly known.